What is up, guys? In the last video we got the Dakota running. We kind of pieced it together good enough to get it to fire up, idle, and run for a little while and do some revs with it. Now since the last video, it is now the next day, and yesterday I went and worked on this thing a little bit more, and I've been working on it a little bit this morning, and I've dialed in all of the little stuff that needs to be finished on this thing. So technically I could take this thing on the road right now with basically zero issues. So I'm going to go around, show you guys what I did, and then I will talk about what we're going to actually be doing to this thing for this video. So I got the coolant reservoir mounted. So these are corner braces. You can buy these at Walmart for like $3 a pack. They're sturdy enough to hold this thing up. I kind of want it to droop a little bit because otherwise the hood's going to be running into it. But that is mounted up. I got the lines zip tied. I got the hose pulled a little bit further away from the exhaust here. I have gone online and I ordered some 5/8 barbed 90s. I'm going to be putting one here. I'm going to be putting the other one here and maybe another one over here so that the hose is kind of going around and not so close to the exhaust and not laying in the way of stuff. Intercooler piping is all done. So intercooler piping on the cold side now runs this way instead of this way. I've got the blow-off valve right here in front. I think I said I wasn't going to run this originally, but I didn't have a pipe short enough to put here, so I ended up using it. So to fix this thing, I ended up putting a bunch of silicone around the O-ring, like the black silicone stuff on both sides of the O-ring, pushed this thing in, got the snap ring in it, and it's not wobbling right now, so hopefully we don't have any boost leaks. I'm probably just going to replace this thing with a different blow-off valve. I think the issue is the snap ring not clicking all the way into the little slot it's supposed to go into. I think this pipe adapter that I bought isn't made quite right. So the valve I think is fine. I think it's just this pipe here. That is all done. This piece of pipe here is from the original eBay turbo kit that I bought about 4 years ago now. I still have some of this stuff laying around. This thing was the perfect length to run from the intercooler all the way up, so I used that. And then over here, things get kind of interesting. So I get down here, you can see I've got an adapter bolted to the turbo. So that is a 38mm wastegate flange, like what's on my wastegate, one of those, with the threads drilled out of it, a 3/4 inch to 2 inch exhaust pipe welded to it, and then some little beads laid on the very end as a bead lock or a bead roll, and then the red 90-degree coupler there to go from 2 inch to 2.5 inch, some 2.5 inch exhaust pipe because I didn't have any pipe short enough, and instead of putting bead rolls on it, I just took the grinder and roughed it up, and hopefully it doesn't pop off. And then another 90 short straight piece, and then another 90 coupler, and then it goes to the intercooler. So that is all taken care of. This all looks really nice and tidy. I tried to get rid of that red coupler. The thing has been on here forever and it bothers me because it's the only red coupler out of them, but I got stuck using it because I bought a different, actually I can prove for you guys that I tried to not have to use it right here. I bought this thinking originally with my original plan for the exhaust that I would need a straight 2 inch, 2.5 inch. I need an elbow, so I'm going to go online and order a blue one because that bothers me pretty bad that it's got this one red coupler on it. At least now it's not like right out in your face like it was before, but it still bothers me. So I'm going to be getting a blue coupler for that. Vacuum lines are ran, so I do now have a vacuum line running to the fuel pressure regulator again. I've got the elbow here, this little T here running from the intake manifold to that, and then the other line runs up and over to the boost gauge. So I've got a little reducer hooked into that. Over here, I've got the boost controller mounted right up next to the throttle cable linkage. So it's mounted to the engine instead of being on the firewall, which makes it a lot easier to run lines, and it just makes more sense having it on the engine because it runs to the wastegate. Zip tied some things, tucked some things out of the way, plugged a couple last minute things in. I had to adjust the throttle cable a little bit, and the cable's kind of mangled, so I stuck a hose clamp on here so that it doesn't want to pull itself out as easily. It should work for now. I'm gonna have to fix that later, but everything is finished except for one thing before I can drive it, and that is the exhaust. I could technically drive this thing right now, but this exhaust pipe is dumping straight into the firewall. It's super loud. It's going to stink up the cab. I'm going to have to drive in the cold with the windows down, and I don't want to do that. So for this video, we're going to be building an exhaust system for this thing. This truck has not had a full exhaust in well over a year, and even when it did have a full exhaust, I wasn't completely happy with it because of where it ran and everything. So we're going to be running a full exhaust from here all the way out the bed exit hole that was there before. I've got a bunch of 2.5-inch exhaust pipe up here. We've got some U's, a 45 and a 90 left, and then I have a very stubby 90 right there. I've got flanges in this box so I can bolt the second half of the downpipe up here and then run it underneath. I think what I'm going to do for hangers is I'm going to take this angle iron here, bolt it, because there's some spots underneath the transmission where I could put bolts. I'm going to bolt the exhaust to the transmission because the exhaust and the transmission move together because they're both attached to the engine. So I'm going to bolt it to the transmission there to stiffen that up, and I'll have just one hanger where I used to in the bed for the side exit. And then we should be all set. It'll be a nice, short, simple exhaust. It'll be super easy to remove if I need to in the future. I'm going to run it straight piped for now. We're going to see how I like it. If it's too noisy, I do have a resonator I could stick on it, or I could stick one of those big, like 2-foot long glass packs on it or something. I don't think I'm going to put another muffler on it because even though I like the sound of the old thrush muffler that was on it, it caused a lot of drone. I would rather it be a little bit more of a high-pitched sound so it doesn't drone as much inside of the truck. I'm going to get the truck jacked up and on stands. I'm going to go down there and start taking some measurements on some of this pipe and just start getting this thing all taken care of. Once I've got it through the transmission cross members, it's going to be a lot easier to finish the rest of the exhaust because I've been down this road before. But the first part is going to be a little bit tricky, making sure it can snake its way through that cross member. So I'm going to get it on the jack stands and start working on this new exhaust. This jack's a piece of junk. This thing's probably going to fall off the jack stands. Oh god. I love the sounds this thing makes when it's on jack stands. It's kind of washed out, but right here is what I was talking about for where I could probably bolt the exhaust to, and these are bigger bolts than I thought, so I'll probably only have to use these two on this side and not the other two to hold the exhaust up, but that should work fairly well. It's going to hang kind of low if I use those, but I'll figure something out. But that is the little bolts I was talking about. But you can see right there is the dump. So all I have to do is get a 90 to kind of come down this way a little bit, and then another 90 to shoot it straight through the gap here. And then once I've got that figured out, I'll make some sort of bracket set up to bolt it to the tranny here. I have a flange on the back side of the cross member there, another set of 2-bolt flanges, and then once that is done, I'll stick a gasket in up here and bolt all that up, and then the back half will be all that is left to do. It shouldn't be too bad. I've just got to be kind of careful where I put stuff. I need to kind of eyeball things real good while I'm down there and just kind of make things easy for myself so I don't have to do some real crazy stuff to get it to fit. But I think I've got it. This should be a lot easier than I've done it before. I've definitely set up some exhaust. It was way more difficult to make than this. So I'm going to clean these bolts off that I plan on using, get down there, and start working on this exhaust. Alright, it's kind of hazy in here. I'm going to step out for a little bit after this from the welder and everything, but I have front half of the downpipe done, so now all I have to do is the back half. So here is what we've got. There's the flange. It goes up to the exhaust up in the engine bay. 90, straight piece, another flange, and that's the little hanger that I made to bolt to the transmission. I've already test fit it and it all works, so I'm going to go bolt this thing in with a gasket for once up on the front here and get it all bolted up nice and tight at the transmission. This thing will be completely done and it won't have to come back out. And all I need to do is start working on the back half. Alright, well, we're getting somewhere. This is the part going all the way up to where the 90 is going to be for the bed exit. And this little, I forget there was still a hanger down there, one of the rubber ones, so I just took some angle iron, welded a bolt to it, and this will be the part that goes into the rubber hanger on the truck. Got the other flange welded onto here, so all that's left is the bed part, and I did have This hanger here, I think I cut pieces off of it for something else, but I can use that to make the hanger for the 90. So I'll have this hanger here, the one that's bolted to the trans, and then this one here to stabilize the entire the whole bed exit portion of it at 90 degrees so that it doesn't wobble back and forth and hit stuff. This truck hasn't had a pleasant exhaust in a very long time, and I'm looking forward to having an exhaust that doesn't make me look like an asshole and doesn't drone and rattle my brain. So we'll get this done and then we'll go for a drive. Alright guys, the entire exhaust is finished. All I have to do is finish drilling a hole in the bed and into a hanger. But I wanted to show you guys what it looked like before I stick it under the truck, because it's going to be a pain in the butt to get underneath it there while I with the camera. It's going to be dark. So got bed exit end here. Got this hanger. I have to drill a hole through it, and I'm just going to bolt it to the bed. I've got a bolt and nut here I'm going to be using on that. It's got a little 45, a 90. Got a hanger that I made out of an Allen head bolt and a piece of strap. There's a factory hanger still down there, so it just slides into that and it can't back out because it's bolted up. So that works pretty good, and it was free. So there's a little trick for you. If you need to make an exhaust hanger, just weld a bolt to a piece of strap and you're all good. And it just runs up. You got a slight little tweak to it right there, and then it bolts up to the mid pipe or second half of the downpipe, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to go down there, get this thing bolted up, finish bolting up that one last hanger, get everything positioned right, and then I'm going to set this thing down. Actually, yeah, I'll set it down, start it, check it for leaks, and then we're going to go for a drive in just a little bit. So hopefully in the next like 10 or 15 minutes, we'll have this thing out on the road and we will know what it sounds like. Alright, everything is done. I'm out of breath from drilling and messing with stuff, but there it is. Pretty well centered for, oh, there we go. It's pretty well centered for what it is. Definitely work. I think I might put a 3-inch tip on it at some point, but the 2.5 fits a lot nicer than the 3 would. We're ready to start it. I've just got to open the door here and we will go fire it up. I'm excited. I'm exhausted, but I'm also excited. What time is it? I've been working on this since 6 in the morning. It's 3 o'clock. Dang. Alright. All the batteries disconnected. That was welding. Here we go. There we go. We have life. That is good. Very good. Okay. I'll let that heat up before I start it. I'm definitely going to add some tune stuff to adjust. Because the map should be good, but the throttle response is definitely off a little bit. Alright, here we go. Wow, that's a lot quieter. Way better. That sounds pretty good. It's got a nice unequal length burble to it, which I was hoping would happen. I'm gonna go around it, check for fluid leaks, check for exhaust leaks, and then we'll be ready to go for a drive. Alright, after the shit show that was getting this thing out of the garage and at the back, because we had to have my dad drive the Mustang, my brother in his car, and my mom in the Cavalier, and me in this thing to get this thing out. But we did it. We're gonna go for a drive. I'm gonna go get those tools off the front of the truck before I forget they're there, and then we are gonna go and take a little cruise. I haven't driven this thing in about a month. It's been a while. Yeah, throttle response is definitely better. I missed it. This is too good. Oh, you guys probably got a bunch of wind noise. Damn it. I didn't even think about that. Oh, this thing sounds sick. This isn't that unbearable to drive either. Like, I'll be able to hear my radio now. I might still put a I might still put a muffler on it, I'm not sure. I'll drive it like this for a while and see if I can tolerate it. But, man, I miss driving this thing. This thing is definitely more fun to drive than the Mustang, just because of the turbo noises. We are still recording. We'll do a little more because I know the fuel map is spotty right now. Feels like the clutch is slipping, which could be because it was covered in oil. It's not good. Yeah, the clutch is slipping. Son of a bitch. Hopefully it's just got a bunch of oil on it, because I did spill a bunch of antifreeze on it. Damn. Slipping clutch. That's not good. That wasn't what I wanted to deal with. I don't smell it though. Hopefully it's just got a bunch of crap on it and it starts biting after a while. But there's nobody behind me. I am going to end the video here. I will give you guys an update in the next video on whether or not the clutch starts working like it's supposed to. It's definitely slippery, and it felt slippery right out of the gate though, so hopefully I just need to get some heat into it. There was that misfire thing again too. Maybe it isn't fixed, I don't know. But that's going to be the end of the video, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. I will let you guys know in the next video what all needs to be fixed still, and I will see you later.